Alrighty, everyone. Well, hey, welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. We have a little bit of a different setup today. But there's some work going on in my house, and so this is what we're dealing with this week. But the show must go on. We must still keep updating the WTR, the ARC, the Monarch, and the Crucible War. So welcome to a Monarch market update, a little bit different this week. Hey, if you want to support the channel, there is a Patreon at KitchenTableTCG, patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG or KitchenTableTCG.com. And you get access to this collection tracker that utilizes all the data that I put into all these videos and all the things I do, and it allows you to track your own collection. It's pretty cool. A lot of people use it. A lot of people like it. And I hope that you will consider it if you want to support content like this. And then I also always recommend that you shop at Midtown Merchant. Mitch has the best deals on singles. He updates his prices weekly to make sure that they're competitive. He's a great dude. Use the promo code Be Kind to save $5 off your order of $50 or more. And then patrons also get access to a 10% off discount code as well. So let's hop into Monarch Unlimited and see where the prices are right now on Monarch Unlimited. And right now you can buy booster boxes for $71 on TCG Player. I just want everybody to know that this is technically under minimum advertisable price for Flesh and Blood. So these stores are going to be getting in trouble as a result of selling this low. If you want to, just a little show for myself, I do have Monarch boxes on my website. They're $85, but if you're a patron, you save $5 and shipping is free if you order 2 or more. So $79 is right about at MAP. So if you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, there is that. But you can get boxes under $80. So let's see if the EV is kind of landing there. So I'm going to call boxes $77 because you can get them at or really under MAP if you want to support these stores that are not following by the LSS rules. So you can get boxes, and I don't blame you, right? Like I don't blame you as a consumer for going for things the cheapest. I would do the same thing. So anyway, boxes $75. Let's see what we can do. It's looking like the Great Library of Solana is sitting in at about muted the wrong thing. Mute the music there for you. It seems like the Library of Solana is sitting in at about 400, 450, 420. It kind of depends on the day. You can even shop around and get them a little bit cheaper. I have seen some sell at the $500 range this week. But it seems like the new price point for a Library of Solana. So we'll call it 415 this week. The prices are they're all over the place depending on what point in the week that you were shopping for these. So Library of Solana, we'll call it 415 this week. You can see that is down 25%. You're going to see a lot of the cards are down this week in that same kind of range of cards. So looking at the Legendaries, Vestige of Soul going from 135 to 105. Phantasmal Footsteps is really the only one that's really holding its value here, and that is sitting at about 160 this week. Valiant Dynamo down to 110. Actually, I lied. Carrion Husk, I forgot about this. I was doing all the setup. I forgot about this. Carrion Husk is showing some signs of being like a card that people want. A lot of the values are up on it. And you'll see that, I think, if I remember right, that continues when we get to first edition as well. So Carrion Husk going up $15, which is actually surprising to me. Doomsday is down and Eclipse is down. That doesn't surprise me much. All in all, your Legendaries are down about 14% to an average of $107.50. So interesting to see these Legendaries really moving. It doesn't all surprise me. These prices are now getting to be more in line with like the WTR Legendaries. It'll be interesting to see like where the Footsteps lands because it's obviously going to be the most valuable card in the set, but it'll be interesting to see kind of where it lands compared to like the Tunic or the Arknight Skullcap, which are typically like $200 cards. So very interesting stuff. Let's go ahead on to the Majestic Rainbow Foils. And you can see we are down 39%, which is huge. And there's some like significant changes. The biggest things are all these equipment, the weapons. I mean, like if you look at Luminaris down to, I meant to show you the Footsteps at 165. There you go, if you wanted proof. But the Luminaris, like down to 45, 42, like Rainbow Foil, these were selling for like $100, $90 to $100 last week. So kind of interesting to see them drop so rapidly. Very, very interesting. And that's across the board for all these kind of rainbow foil Majestic weapons particularly. But then the rest of the cards are down too, like Soul Shield down to 12, Celestial Cataclysm, TCG player right now, you can pick them up for $27. So like everything is low right now. It's really interesting to see like the market kind of say, "Hey, we already had first edition cards. We had the cards in our hand. People are not picking them up on the unlimited side." It's a bizarre world. This is a new thing for Flesh and Blood, right? Like where we have the unlimited set coming out so close to the first edition set. Dread Scythe sitting at 30. So all in all, your average Rainbow Foil Majestic is sitting at $11.68. And at the end of the video, we'll show, or kind of at the end of this part of it, we'll show you the how it breaks down to the weapons too. So that's down from $19 last week. Let's go ahead and look at the Majestics. The Majestics are down 20%, so not quite as rapidly down as the Rainbow Foils. But the regular Majestics are still down. Some of your key ones, again, Luminaris is actually up. Raiden is down. These weapons that don't get utilized super much, just no one's picking them up. Like no one, they're just not played in a lot of decks right now, and so nobody's picking them up. Luminaris, so a lot of people are picking it up to test it out in Prism and to play around with it. Celestial Cataclysm is holding its value. The rest of the cards seem to be dropping just a little bit. It's interesting to see some of these like Shadow Puppetry popping up. It's being utilized in some decks. Tear Limb for Limb isn't moving up. I have seen that big card being used a lot. So it's interesting to start seeing where the players are picking up cards and utilizing them in their decks. And I think as we kind of get out of this fight to the bottom, which is really what's happening right now with Monarch Unlimited, we're seeing a fight in the bottom, not only from stores who are putting their prices lower than map, but also from individuals like you and I who are putting the cards out on the market and trying fighting the bottom on TCG Player. I don't sell on TCG Player anymore, but it's just interesting to see where these cards are going to line up as we see what cards are playable and what cards aren't. All in all, though, your Majestic rainbow foils, sorry, your non-foil Majestics are sitting at $4.64 on average, which is down 20%. Just keep in mind for the rares, I use TCG low. So on the rares, we are down 50%. Sellers, this is rainbow foil. Sellers have lowered their prices of the rainbow foil rares by 50% from last week. So an average of $1.90. That really is going to affect the EV that you see at the end. But for regular rares, we're also down 16%. That one doesn't have as big of an effect. It's just not a high enough number to really affect the EV here. So common rainbow foils, the huge biggest thing is that these equipment cards, I pop up some of them, Halo Illumination going down to $3.49. Dream Reavers going down to $8, which seems high. Gallantry Gold going down to $5. These were $10, $15, $20 cards last week, and this week they're having a hard time staying above $5. So that's a huge thing. And so all the cards as a whole, I mean, even like here's the whole like $14 for Blood Drop Arcade down to $4. Stubby Hammers from 19 down to $3. And nobody, I mean, I did not think that those prices were going to hold, honestly. So I don't think anyone's really surprised by that. Although they are seemingly more difficult to pull than in WTR and ARC based on my polls. But the way that the correlation is, some people are getting like 3 or 4 in a box and some people are getting none. So all in all, your average rainbow foil common is sitting, at $2.17. So all right, let's look at the top. Let's do this. Let's do the EV first. So you can see here the EV is not good. And I want to explain how I did this. It's a little bit different. It didn't really change much, but I just wanted to say how I'm calculating this stuff. So this breaks down the 6 Majestics. I'm assuming that not assuming, I'm kind of based on my own polls, that the foil, that the weapon is short printed, just like the Crucible equipment slot was. So that breaks this down. So your average Majestic foil weapon is sitting at $30. Your average Majestic foil is sitting at $10. But you're half as likely to pull one of these as you are an individual one of the other ones because they're short printed, is my guess based on the way that things have been pulling and rates and that kind of thing, and the way that Crucible was set up. So that calculates this all out and basically says that these are half as likely to be pulled individually as the other card. So, you're gonna get 6 Majestics per box. That brings you $27. You're gonna get 1 1/4. It seems like every 4 or 5 boxes, you get 2 Majestic rainbow foils. So, 1 1/4 foil Majestics per box. You're gonna get 41 rares, 5 foil rares, and then 1 in every 3 1/4 boxes. Really, it seems like has a legendary. We're seeing a lot of boxes that a lot of cases that have 2 legendaries. I've seen cases that had 3 legendaries. I had a case this past week. I put cards up on my store at CatDanesMarket.com. We pulled for the store, and we had a case with 2 legendaries and the Fable. So your chance of hitting a legendary at 1 in every 3.3 boxes. And then your chance of hitting a Fable 1 in 40 boxes. So that puts your box EV sitting at $104.42. If you don't, this is if you open 40 of them. This is like your complete average. If you don't open 40 of them, you're not going to get this legendary. You're not going to get this Fable. You're not going to get the rates there. You're really sitting, if you don't pull those cards, at like around $60. So just keep that in mind. But if you do pull a rainbow foil Majestic with no legendary, no Fable, you'd be sitting at an average of $92, which is sitting pretty good. That puts a case EV sitting at about $417. So let's look at this box EV of 104.42 and compare it to last week. We are down 25% as a market on a whole. So let's look at the top 10 cards that went up, and let's start with the foils. So Carrion Husk, like I said, going up from 115 to 130. That's a 13% change. And Phantasmal Footsteps going from 155 to 160. That's a 3% change. Everything else foil going down. Like, that's so funny. Like, everything else foil is going down. The non-foil gainers, Arclight Sentinel being picked up, going from 250 to 3. That's a 20% change. Herald of Erudition going from 6 to 7. That's a $1 change. And Luminaris non-foil going from 16 to 18 for a 12% change. The foil losers, Stubby Hammers Rainbow Foil going from 19 to 3. It's an 84% change. All these common rainbow foils are on here. Hose of the Shadow Beast and Ironhide Legs, losing about 75% of their value. The non-foil losers, Hexagore, the Death Hydra, going from 950 to 4. That's a 57% change. Mutated Mask going from 275 to $1.25. That's a 50% change. And Luminous Ascension also losing about 50%. All right, let's go ahead and look at first edition. We will pick it up and talk about the sealed product. I just want to say to George and to Mitch that I was right. And we are seeing boxes under. I'm sorry I didn't make this bigger for you guys. My screen that I'm monitoring, I usually have 2 screens. Everything's different this week. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. We have box prices under $350. So sold listings, lots of them at $340, $330, $315. Jeez. $330, $335. A lot of downwards pressure on the sealed boxes for Monarch. I'm putting it $330. That's down 6% from last week, and you can see we are trending down in the 6 to 5 to 7% range. Sitting the library though hasn't really moved much, sitting at 2,600, and there were a couple sold listings this week for that. I think this one was at the end of the day last week before I even did the update. So there are 2 since then. There have been a bunch moving kind of in limbo. There's some graded cards that have moved this week as well on Facebook and on Discord. There was a couple other libraries. I would say if you're buying or selling, you're using this public price of 2,600. This is a pretty good condition one. If this is the card. The centering is really hard on this card. If you have a bad centered one, you're probably looking at more like $2,000, even south of that, like 1,800. But if you have a good centered one, a good condition one, I really think 2,600 is the starting point still. So no real change from last week. Looking at the legendaries then, Vestige of Soul dropping down to 335. Phantasmal Footsteps is actually going up on the Phantasmal Footsteps. 490, 500, 510, 600 Canadian, I forget exactly what that is. 530. It is trending upwards of the 485. I'm going to leave it at 500. Really, you can make an argument for like 510, 515. Um, I'm guessing that condition really matters on this one too. Again, really condition matters on all the cards, but you know how it is. Valiant Dynamo at 375, Tyrian Husk at 350, Doomsday at 300, which is actually going slightly up, and Eclipse at 320, which is also actually going slightly up. Legendaries are at 3%, which is slowing down here on the decline. We had 23%, 20, 5%, 20%, and 3%. So we are slowing down on the decline of these cards, which is interesting to know. Like, are we getting close to this kind of bottom for the cards? I think everyone's kind of curious about that. So, um, as we go on to the cold foil comments, this tells me that we aren't quite at the bottom. The cold foil comments are down 15% this week. And I don't know, like, I really think that these are a good teller of how the market is doing on them. Halo of Illumination down to 125, Dreamweavers down to 107, Gallantry Gold under the $75 mark that I kind of put for my own cards. Hose of the Shadow Beast at 80, Ebonfold at 80, Aether Ironweave at 75, Blood Drop Brocade 122, Stubby Hammers, which is actually Stubby Hammerers, which I just noticed like tonight, to 70, Time Skippers to 75. I mean, these are really low prices. You can pick up all the Ironhide equipment for about $70 each if you're really shopping around. So really interesting prices on that. The commons are down 15% to an average of 83. Now, looking at the Majestics, though, the Majestics are actually up 5%, which is super interesting. Luminaris going up to 440. I think I pulled that one up. Oh no, I pulled up Raiden. Raiden, I think this price right here, the Australian, was like 340 or something like that. What did I put? 310. Yeah, so because there was one that was less than that too. Luminaris sold for 440. Hexagore for 210, which is actually lower. And Galaxy Art or Galaxy Black actually going up 25 as well. Dread Scythe going up. So the only one that didn't go up is Hexagore, but the rest of them are moving upwards, which is telling that like we've hit the bottom for some of the other cards too. So we're at 5% growth on this, which is super interesting. That being said, I do want to make sure that I point out all the facts. We were down 23% last week, which was a huge number. So maybe this is just kind of a retracement as people saw that and were like, oh, that's pretty low, and kind of bought it up. So it might have less to do with that and more to do, like these numbers technically kind of flip flop. Last week, the commons were only down 8% and the Majestics were down 23%. This week, the commons are down more and the Majestics are up. So, maybe it's just like a flip flop of that. The Majestics, the extended art Majestics, are also actually up 2%. So it seems like the things that are like less printed, right? Like the Majestic cold foils are technically less printed than the Legendaries. That's been pretty agreed upon. So that, like, there are less in circulation individually. And the same thing with these, so these cards that are like shorter printed are really starting to dry up in the market, and that's what's causing the price to go up. So Herald of Erudition at 550, Lumina Ascension at 350, and Mark of the Beast at 300. That puts your average right at $400, which is up 2%. Looking at the Majestic Rainbow Foils, we are down 7% this week. Kind of the trajectory, though, we were down 16, 8, 10, and now 7%. So still kind of on the trajectory of going down. Let's see, Celestial Cataclysm down to 85. Herald of Erudition to 52, Arclight Sentinel to 26, Genesis to 31. We're just seeing a lot of downward pressure on these, as is the case for all cards right now. Mark of the Beast is actually up to 50. Let's see, did anything else go up? I don't think so. I don't think anything else moved in the upwards trajectory. Oh, Nourishing Emptiness, which, that went up as well. I think that might have something to do. Nourishing Emptiness, it was a card that was played a lot at the Calling in Auckland, so it was in a couple decks. So we're down 7% on the Majestic Rainbow Foils. The regular Majestics then, let's see where we are. We are down 14%, which is another huge number. So, and this could be also, kind of tied towards Unlimited and people just like not needing the first edition, basically buying the cheapest card. But I mean, it's not going to get much cheaper than $2. Like a mutated mass for first edition is $250 right now. For unlimited, I mean, it's got to be close. For unlimited mutated mass, it's $1.25. Okay, so I mean, those numbers, I mean, it can't get much lower, honestly. Guardian of the Shadow Realm at $250. Shadow Puppetry is a card that's being targeted, picked up. Was the unlimited one up too? Yeah, the unlimited one was up too. So lots of movement on Shadow Puppetry. Tear Limb for Limb is down just a little bit. Dread Scythe is down a little bit. Exude Confidence, and then Nourishing Emptiness again, starting to see a lot of play as well. So all in all, down 14%, but there are a few cards that we can identify as like potential cards if you're interested in like making sure you have a couple copies. Those are the cards that are starting to see some play. The rare rainbow foils, just keep in mind I use TCG low on these, and on TCG low for the rainbow foils we are down 6% to an average of $2.62. The regular rares also, they just don't have that much value. They're actually up this week. I mean, these have been kind of like back and forth. They were down 56% last week. This week they're up 43%. It's just kind of a weird place to be on those. And then the common rainbow foils, man, like it's just, there's so many of them, and so like the price point is always just going to keep coming down until we hit this bottom. So at 9% down, Talisman and Dowsing still at $36. Let's see where that blood tribute at $14, $12, and $18, which is blood tribute yellows or blue is down quite a bit. All right, let's go ahead and look at the EV here. The EV calculation, a lot of it's the same, just replaced for the cold foils. And your box EV is, obviously the lowest that we've seen it at $386 box, getting awfully close to the sealed box prices, honestly. Without a legendary or a fable, you're sitting at $210 or $11.48. If you get a cold foil with no legendary or fable, you're sitting at $182. And if you get a Majestic cold foil, you're sitting at $486. So that Majestic really does hold a lot of weight. It's pretty good, even like potentially arguably like compared to some of the legendaries, it could even be better to hit one of the Majestics, like an Illuminaris, than a legendary. So, all right, the KCV is sitting at just under 1,200. All right, let's look at the where that compares to last week. So last week we were at 403. This week we're at 386. 386. So that puts us down 4% overall in the market. Let's see the top 10 cards to gain or lose value. Mutated Mass, the Rainbow Foil, is the card that has gained the most value in the Rainbow Foil versions. Tear Limb for Limb is the second one to gain value, up 25%, and Phantasmaclasm up 20% in the Rainbow Foil. Non-foil gainers, Shadow Puppetry, Nourishing Emptiness, two cards that are seeing some additional play, up 37% and 15%. And then cards that have lost the most value, those Subby Hammers going from 120 to 70, that's a loss of 41%. Dimensional Crossroads down 23%, and Gallantry Gold down 22%. The non-foil losers, Spill Blood down 37%, Bolting Blade down 37%, and Rouse the Ancients down 31%. So there you go. That's your market update. Thanks for bearing with me in terms of like my headphones and audio isn't as good this week. This is not the normal. We're just in a little bit of a different setup this week because of the stuff that's going on in my house. That being said, if you want to support the channel despite that, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG where you can support the channel, get access to a collection tracker that utilizes all this data. You also get access to case and box breaks over at Cavdane's Market. You get $5 off the box price for all boxes, no matter how many you order. You get $5 off each one. There's box breaks, online breaks. We do a case break kind of once a week. We're not going to be able to do it this week, but typically do a case break. So being a patron is a lot of fun. You get access to the Discord server, patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG. The rest of you guys, I appreciate you. Remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll see you tomorrow for another video that'll be just as janky as this one.